Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet where we talk all things planners, fountain pens, and fountain pen inks. Today I have more inks from friends to swatch. So just this past weekend I was at a little fountain pen meetup, and I'm just so happy to have found a local group of fountain pen friends that I think are becoming more than just fountain pen people, but are actually becoming friends. And I'm really enjoying our monthly meetups and our time together. So I love swatching inks with them, but there's also always inks that are being passed on or passed around. So this time I got 11. And I'm going to swatch them all for you. And instead of doing my regular swatch with my Browse ornament nib, I'm actually going to paint roses with them today. Let's get started. So I'm going to be painting in my Hobonichi notebook with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. This is just a paintbrush that I bought off Amazon. I really don't know too much about it. And then this is my Kakimori stainless steel nib, and this is on the River City Penco nib holder. The first ink is Sailor Ink Studio 224, and these inks, I know that Sailor actually just made a post about their recent inks as well. So it'll be interesting. I didn't check whether this was still part of the lineup, but it might be. So painting my roses. If you're not familiar with these, basically I'm just doing C curves with my brush, and this really shows off the chroma shading properties here. What I'm also doing is starting with light pressure and then heavy pressure, light pressure, and doing that all the way around so you get the different effects as well. I really love doing this with ink because it's just such a fun way to use your ink. And while it may not be the best at showing off, what you'd get in a writing sample, it's still so fun to play with inks in a different way. And I mean, watercolor is definitely going to look so different to inks, so it's so nice to play with both. And I love how the chromo shading is happening there already. So this is Sailor Ink Studio 224. Gorgeous. Next I have Sailor Ink Studio 243. And, oh, ouch. Cut myself on my finger yesterday while slicing an onion. So if you see that mark on my finger, sorry. So yeah, starting the rose off with, I guess, two small C curves, and then getting those C curves a little bit bigger, and then starting with light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure, and just working your way around. I learned how to do roses through Jenna Rainey here on YouTube, and she does lovely loose watercolor floral tutorials. And it's just, I thought I would apply them to fountain pen inks because fountain pen inks can really show off some beautiful chromo shading that you don't necessarily always get with watercolor. How fun is that? I didn't think I'd necessarily go for this one, but I love the chromo shading that you're getting here as well. So it's kind of a light grayish blue or light grayish purple. I really, really enjoy that. And I mean, I did an initial swatch when I was over at the pen meetup, but I'm seeing more of the properties as I do the rose here. So this is Sailor Ink Studio 243. Lovely. So in the writing sample is definitely more blue, but I love how it looks in the rose. Next I have Sailor Ink Studio 252, and I really liked the purple hue of this one. Just making sure my paintbrush is clean. Okay, Oh yes, I love the purple. And this one reminds me a little bit of the Sailor Shikiori Hara Hara. But a little bit more pink, I think, in this one. So pretty. Lovely. And I mean, some people are going to be like, why are you painting with fountain pen ink if the writing sample is not going to look like that? Because I want to. I want to paint with my inks. You know, writing isn't the only way to enjoy fountain pinks. If that's the only way you enjoy your fountain pen inks, great. But I love seeing all of the different properties in an ink, and I feel like swatching like this is one of the best ways to show that, even if it isn't necessarily going to show up in the writing sample. So this is Sailor Ink Studio 252. Gorgeous. I love how that's shading beautifully. You've got, I mean, the writing sample is more of that grayish purple, but then when you do swatch it like this, you see way more of those tones. And I feel like I want to add another petal on this side. It looks a little incomplete to me. So one more petal. And then I think, whoops. Yeah, me trying to complete the rose. That looks slightly better. I don't know if I made it any better or not. So Sailor Ink Studio 252. Next we have Sailor Ink Studio 450, and I promise not all of these inks are Sailor Ink Studio. Half of them are, but not all of them. And this one you can tell is going to be a very beautiful, vibrant purple. Lovely, kind of like Pilot Iroshizuku Murasaki Shikibu. Very pretty, but I wanted to try this out, especially with a swatching method like these roses, because I think it can bring out a little bit more of the pink that's in here as well. Lovely. And then you can also adjust the saturation as well by adding a little bit more water to your brush. Let's see. Yeah, that's stunning. Oh, I love that so much. Beautiful. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more chroma shading happening in this ink than there would have been in Murasaki Shikibu. So this one is Sailor. Ooh. Ink. Oh my goodness, Studio. And this was 450. Next we have Ink Studio 573. I really like the 573 series because I have 273, which is lovely. And I have tried, I think, 373. I think I still need to try 173 if that is still around. And this is definitely more orange than I would normally go. But I really like how it dried as well. It's definitely more coral, whereas the 273 is definitely more pink and has a little bit more chromo shading in that one. This one feels a little drier. That's okay. So let's see what happens when we add a little water to it and see if that brings out any more of those shading properties. So again, start from light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure, heavy pressure, and just working your way around. And then the further you get from the center, the bigger those can be. So that is really pretty. So we have Sailor Ink Studio 5 0.73. Look at the pink that's coming out here. Just because I added a little water to my brush, there's some pink chroma shading happening here. So pretty. And the last of the Sailor inks, we have Ink Studio 864. And I know 64 is like a green teal shade series because I didn't know this before, but with the Sailor Ink Studio inks, so the last two numbers normally represent kind of the series, and then the first number, the 100 digit, is basically how light or saturated a specific color is. Ooh, that's lovely. That one looks like a mustache. Oh, I love doing roses and painting with fountain pen inks. I used to do this way more often when I had my sticker shop, but I haven't done it as much since I closed my shop a year ago now. So I love getting to be able to paint roses like this without any pressure, really. So, ooh, that's very wet. Beautiful. Just cleaning off my brush and getting some on my nib here. So this is Sailor Ink Studio 864. Gorgeous. The next ink I have is from Vinta Inks, and this is from Van Ness Pens, but it is Carnival. And if you are interested in actually purchasing any inks from Van Ness, I do have a discount code for, it's called, well, the discount code is Karina10 to get you 10% off your Van Ness order. So let's see. Yes, I have already swatched this and I know what these look like, but I'm always excited to be able to swatch them in my own notebook. And I love swatching with my Browse ornament nib, but I also like taking the time to do slow swatches like this with the loose florals. Because with the loose florals as well, there's no need to have it look realistic or perfect. It's really going with the flow and the rhythm of your brush and seeing where that goes. I'm going to add a little bit of water to the brush here to change the saturation a bit. Love that. Beautiful. Just cleaning off my brush. And here we go. So this is Vinta. Where am I going to write this? Vinta Carnival. Beautiful. We now have Vinta Lucia or Lucia. And you can tell this one is a blue. And I don't normally go for blue inks, but when it comes to a specific type of blue, I mean, I like the blues that are a little lighter, not the really dark blues. This definitely is that lighter blue that I really like. Not like Celadon Cat from Diamine. I'm trying to think of an ink that this reminds me of. I'm adding a little bit of water to the brush here. And my brain is like, I cannot remember. I'm filming this after I've done work, just finished dinner and cleaning up. So my brain is a little, you're asking me to remember things. So we have Vinta, Lucia or Lucia. That's lovely. Next we have Vinta mascara. I was so excited to swatch this that I forgot to even show you the bottle before I even opened the sample vial. So this is a really lovely purple, but I thought it was going to be a little darker, but no, it's actually showing up as a beautiful grayish light purple. And some might find this a bit too light, but I have a thing for light inks right now. Even with the really fine nibs that I'm using, I'm really liking the lighter inks. I mean, there are some that aren't as legible, don't get me wrong, but there are some of those lighter inks that are just so pretty. And you'd think they wouldn't be the right combination with a really fine nib like a Sailor or a Platinum nib, but I really enjoy using them. Oh, look at the shading that's happening with this. Gorgeous. Lovely. So Vinta mascara. I've wanted to try this for a while. I just haven't pulled the trigger on buying a sample of it. Mascara. I love how that shading here, and there's like hints of pink and blue coming out in the center. Stunning. And now we have Vinta Peria. And this one is like a teal. So let's see what that looks like here. You know, the more I swatch inks, the more I realize that I don't have the big long list of, or comprehensive list of adjectives that I can use to describe inks. This one is really light. So there might be some people who don't like this, but I really wanted to give this a try. And I know that some people find Vinta inks a little drier, but, and I know most people are probably like, why are you sticking that paintbrush in the sample vial and then you're going to fill your pen from that? Yeah, I know. It's fine. I've noticed in a few of my videos, not even just recently, but for a while, I'm in the fountain pen hobby. Wow, that is really light now that I'm seeing it. But, you know, for the time that I've been in the fountain pen hobby, that in a few of my videos, I do have people maybe trying to be very well-meaning with the advice that they're giving, but sometimes the advice that they're giving feels like they're saying there's a right way or a wrong way to do this hobby. And there really isn't. There are probably some right or wrong ways to take care of your pens, for example, or to take care of your ink samples, but there's no right or wrong way for how to enjoy this hobby. And I've gotten a few comments in some of my videos recently about how some people enjoy their hobby, and some of those comments can be just not very helpful because we all have different ways that we enjoy this hobby. I like to swatch by painting with my inks, and some people don't swatch at all. And there is nothing wrong with either of those ways. Anyway, off my soapbox. That's Vinta Peria. Very light, but actually in the writing sample, not too bad. And last but not least, we have Vinta Sirena. I think this one is lighter as well. And I have been told that Vinta inks can be a little drier, so I do have some Van Ness White Lightning that I could add to this if it is a little dry. That's a lovely grayish green. Again, reminds me of Colorverse Alpha Pisces. Oh, there's a little thread. Just wash off my brush. Oh, roses are so fun to do when there's some beautiful chromo shading properties happening with the ink. Really liking this green, and I feel like I've tried this before or have wanted to try it, but never had the opportunity to. What a great way to show off the shading. Just add a little bit more in here. A little bit more. There you go. That's so pretty. Really love that. Now, I know this will probably be too light for some people, but like I said, I do enjoy it. So this is Vinta and Sirena. So lovely. I'll show you all of these once they're dried. So there are all the inks now dried. I'm going to show you these close up here. So we have Sailor Ink Studio 224. I realize I've tried this before and I actually did really like it. I don't remember if I had a bottle or just a sample of it, but I'm really liking it now. Again, Sailor 243, I really like the Blurple color. And even in the writing though, it does look a little bit more blue than Blurple, but it does, if you compare it to a different blue, this looks more purple. Then we have Sailor Ink Studio 252. It reminds me a little bit of like some of the dusty purples that I like, possibly maybe Julia Here's Love Letter, and I'm thinking there's other inks that I think would be similar to it as well. Let me take a look. And I know there's probably one in a previous inking that I've done. And sorry for making you flip through all of this with me, but I'm trying to remember, and for the life of me, my brain's like, nope, you don't get to remember. Of course not. Okay, it reminds me a little bit of Julia Here's Love Letter. And then we have Sailor Ink Studio 450. Definitely looks like Pilot Oroshizuku, Murasaki Shikibu in the writing, but it's got a little bit more complexity in the swatch. Then Sailor Ink Studio 573. I love the way this looks, but it's a lot more, I think, I say copper corally color in the more saturated writing sample. And then Sailor Ink Studio 864, a darker teal. And it makes me wonder if there's a little bit of sheen in there. It feels like in the writing sample there's a little bit of sheen, but I can't tell too much here. Then Vinta Carnival. I really love the way that green shades. It's a lighter yet more muted green. Really love that. And then Vinta Lucia or Lucia. Look at the chromo shading that's happening when you add a little bit of water to the fountain pen ink. Stunning, absolutely stunning. And this is why I love doing swatches like this, because you can really see the characteristics of the ink that you may not always see in the writing sample. And then we have, Vinta Mascara. Oh, love the purple. And actually comparing the two purples side by side, you can definitely see how much this is less saturated, but also probably a drier ink than Ink Studio 450. And then we have the really light Vinta Peria. Some people might not like this, but I can see the chromo shading of like a little beigey pink there that's happening, and I really like that. I'm really interested to see how that would look, and I feel like that would match really well with, possibly my platinum in the, what is this one? Why am I forgetting these? Is this a Sarugabe? Yeah. Gorgeous. I think that would match so well with that. And then last but not least, sorry for the shaking here, we have Vinta Peria, and I probably got some on my arm. I think I smudged that there. Look at the way that shading with a little bit of like saturation. There's lots of pink in there, and even in the writing sample there's a bit of pink in there too. So fun. So those are the inks that I got at my latest fountain pen meetup, and I probably could have gone home with more, but I really had to stop myself. It was just so fun to be with friends and hang out and talk and snack and also be around the dogs. The theme is actually all 4 of us have pets. I think, let's see, do we have, I think most of, let's see, I think Lucy out of all of the dogs is the smallest. Yeah, Lucy is definitely the smallest out of all the dogs. So next time, one of the meetups could definitely be with Lucy and at my house. But anyway, I'm always so, I'm just trying to find different ways of swatching, and I love being able to swatch using the rose technique because it's such a great way to use the fountain pen ink and really see the chromo shading properties of these. All right, but that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. Just letting you know as well, if you are interested in any of these inks, I do have affiliate links down in the description below for either Atlas or Endless pens, Venice pens, or even Gold Spot pens, depending on which retailer you prefer to shop with. And using the affiliate link below will not cost you anything extra, but it does help me in this channel. All right, thanks again so much for watching and have yourselves a great day.